Black Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to this Black Talk Radio news commentary with yours truly, Scotty Reid. Today's date is October the 22nd, 2024. We are not that far away from the election on November the 5th, but early voting has already started. And I can tell you just from looking at some of the latest national polls, but really drilling down and looking at some of these swing state polls, it's pretty much a dead heat between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. It's just up for grabs. Anybody could become the next POTUS between those two. And it's looking pretty scary for these Democrats. It's just not looking good. And that might have to do with they picked one of the worst candidates they possibly could have ever picked in Kamala Harris. This is the woman who came in dead last in the 2020 primaries, in case y'all forgot that. Jim Crow Joe beat Kamala Harris in the 2020 primaries. Now, this year, Democrats decided they wasn't going to have a primary, and they were going to handpick Joe Biden's successor. The voters didn't get to weigh in or anything like that. Just very anti-democratic move, I would say, by the people who claim that this is an election to save democracy. It just doesn't make sense. It's just straight up hypocrisy. But I do want to go over a couple of items in the news today. I'm still trying to learn how to operate on this particular platform, and so I'm gonna be moving throughout. I do got the chat up, so I'll be looking there for any comments that anybody would like to make. But I do want to go over some polls real quick. Well, not the polls, but I want to start off by saying I'm so sick of the Harris Waltz campaign targeting black men. I don't know if y'all seen the latest ad that they put out, but it's emulating or copying this popular like dating program that's been on the internet and going viral and stuff, where you had Woody, the Atlanta gangster, and then I forget the other guy with Charles White with the glass eye. But then it's not exactly like that. And I'm talking about the Harris Waltz latest ad. It isn't exactly like that, but where they have a guy come in, a black guy come in, the women are standing there off to the left with their balloons, and the guys start talking about themselves or whatever, and the women that don't want to give the guy a chance will pop their balloon. That's the latest ad that the Harris campaign has come out with, which I think is very divisive. Again, a passive aggressive attack on black men. And it's just sickening, man. I'm so tired. I've already voted. I voted for Jill Stein. I wasn't going to vote for Trump or Kamala Harris, but you know what? She's pissing off a lot of black people. She is. Black men and women do not appreciate how they're targeting black men. And let me just go ahead and see if I can play this ad. Let me pull my speaker over here. Listen to this ad. It's just simply ridiculous.
Look.
Hello, ladies. I'm Trey. It's good to be here.
Hey.
Hey.
So, what do you do and how much do you make?
I work in finance, making six figures.
How tall are you?
6'5".
Okay. Do you work out?
I like to stay active. Yeah.
Do you have a plan to vote?
I didn't plan on it.
I'm just so sick of them targeting black men with this petty crap. I'm just tired of it, man. The majority, I would say the majority of Americans don't even vote. And they have good reason to not vote. I'm not one of those people. I do vote. I haven't missed a vote since the 90s, okay? And I do vote, and I do think it's important to vote. I think it's more important to vote for local offices like your judges, your prosecutors, or district attorneys, your sheriff's departments, your state house representatives and senators, your governors. That's who most affects us where we live, not the federal government. I don't want to say the federal government has no impact. It certainly does have an impact, but voting locally is more important than choosing between Donald Trump and Harris. Because to me, I don't see much daylight between the two in terms of foreign policy. And foreign policy matters much to me. It matters a whole lot, because a lot of people don't realize that the reason we don't have universal health care, besides a lack of the political will of the Democrats, we already know the Republicans don't like universal health care. They don't want free college tuition for all. They don't want any of those progressive policies that Bernie Sanders in his 2016 and 2020 campaign was putting on the table. But guess what? Neither do The Democrats. And when I'm talking about the Democrats, I'm talking about the DNC. I'm not talking about your local Democrat running for register of deeds. I'm not talking about your local Democrat running for whatever North Carolina House district. No, I'm talking about the ones that control the party, that funnel all the money into the party. I'm talking about those Democrats. I'm talking about your Clintons, your Obamas, your Pelosi's, these career politicians who have put a stranglehold on the Democratic Party to, it's just really turning a lot of people off, but it's really turning off a lot of black men the way the Harris campaign and her surrogates like Obama have been attacking black men. You would think that only some black men are saying that they don't plan on voting or that they might vote for Trump. You would think they were the only ones saying that based off of what we're hearing from mainstream media and these liberals on television. That's what you would think, okay? But I came across a couple of articles today, and I want to know, when do they plan to start attacking the Jewish voters that's voting for Donald Trump? I want to know when they're going to attack with these little silly ads and these little dumb comments from people like Barack Obama. When you going to attack Arab and Muslim voters who saying they either won't vote or they're voting for Jill Stein, and some of them are even saying they'll vote for Donald Trump. But yet we don't see any targeted campaigns to call them out for exercising their free will and how they want to vote or not vote. We don't see that. We just see it being targeted at black men. Black men always been the whip, always taking us to the whipping post, always beating up on us, And I would question, why do black men keep supporting the Democrats at 80% plus levels? They don't give a fuck about us, okay? They don't. And so they try these little manipulative schemes like her so-called black man policy, which says it's not just for black men. And like we's dumb and stupid and gonna fall for it. Well, some of us are dumb and stupid and will fall for that type of stuff. But I'm particularly also angry with black men who want to attack other black men for expressing their free will, whether that's to vote for someone other than Kamala Harris or whether it's to not vote at all. I'm sick of it. So the latest attack comes from this Dr. James Thomas Jones III, and this is coming to you from a platform called Manhood, Race, and Culture.com. And it's asking, are black men suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, the rise of black men willing to make America great again? Saying, like they're portraying like it's all this black MAGA out here, and it's not. There's a few sprinkles in the crowd, okay? Just like the Democrats in terms of elected, they got sprinkles of black people in there, but they all practicing white supremacy through their policies and what have you. It's just Democrats aren't overtly and don't use the type of racist language that Donald Trump does. But this guy goes on to say he was recently ensnared in one of the most peculiar conversations a professor could have with a student regarding the fast approaching presidential election. The sense of peculiarity turned into concern when I encounter others expressing their intention to vote for Donald Trump. This political move is actual support for Trump and his low information racist brigade of racists in their attempts to make America great again. Simply put, there's a significant population of black men determined to cut off their noses to spite their faces by voting for white supremacy in its various manifestations. So he goes on to tell his story about Patty Hearst. For those that don't know who Patty Hearst was, she was kidnapped by, I don't know how to describe the group, but she was kidnapped. And then they say she was brainwashed to the point that she started robbing banks with the group. So that's who he's trying to compare black men to. Again, where's all this significant support from black men for Donald Trump? This Negro is lying. He's lying. There's no significant support from black men for Donald Trump. Okay, but you know what? You're going to push them straight into the arms of Donald Trump is what you're going to do with all this condescending language, like you're talking to chaps or something, and then you're lying. You're lying on us again. Black men support the Democratic Party at rates of 80% plus. Only black women support the Democrats more than black men. So why we got to be the targets of why you can't sustain a lead against this person that you say is so racist? And he is racist. The stuff he says is racist. So I'm not even going to fake the funk on that. But if he's so racist, then why you can't open up a lead on him? Huh? Are you going to are we going to apply the same standards to some of these Jewish voters that's considering to vote for Donald Trump? Are they going to target them like they've been targeting us, black people, black men specifically? Let me read this article to you I came across. This was published by MSN, Microsoft Network. Jewish voters in swing districts have shifted away from Democrats. And this was written by Israeli publication, the Jerusalem Post. Okay, it says Jewish voters in key swing districts in Pennsylvania and New York have been turning away from the Democratic Party ahead of the 2024 elections, a recent poll reported by the New York Post revealed. The survey conducted by the nonpartisan Teach Coalition and Orthodox Union Project and the Honan Strategy Group highlighted growing political engagement among Jewish voters driven by the October 7th retaliatory attack on Israel and the so-called rise of anti-Semitism in the United States. A lot of that's fake news. It is. The poll found that 56% of Jewish voters in Pennsylvania and 66% in New York swing districts said these events had significantly increased their likelihood of voting in the upcoming presidential election. So that tells you some of them wasn't even voting. We don't see any ads targeting them with women holding balloons and popping them if a guy says he hadn't planned on voting. Okay. However, the survey also uncovered reluctance among Jewish voters to self-identify as Jewish, a trend attributed to heightened fears of anti-Semitic attacks. That's bullshit. Dougie Boy, Doug Emhoff, spread a lot of false information and what they call it, dense information about the nature of these protests that were going on college campuses by students protesting the genocide that's taking place in Gaza and now spreading to Lebanon and the West Bank and the Golan Heights and other places that they're occupying. That's the call. People seeing all of these babies being murdered with U.S. bombs might be driving some of that anti-Semitism, but I don't believe it's as high as what they say. What they're calling anti-Semitism is actually anti-Zionism, because it can't be anti-Semitism when groups like Jewish Voices for Peace are leading these protests. I just saw a TikTok the other day where you had Orthodox Jews in some country in Europe protesting against the genocide and saying that Zionism doesn't represent Judaism. Okay, so I don't want to hear that fake news about the rise of anti-Semitism. If there is any kind of rise, it might have to do with what those Zionists are doing over there. So it goes on to say a local resident cast a provisional ballot. Let me jump down because it's talking about supporting Trump. Support for Democratic candidates. Again, we're talking about the swing districts in Pennsylvania. Support for Democratic candidates had notably declined. In Pennsylvania, 49% of Jewish voters backed Vice President Kamala Harris, while 42% supported former President Donald Trump, marking a significant decrease from President Joe Biden's 68% share of the Jewish vote in 2020. Harris held 56% of the Jewish vote in New York swing districts compared to Trump's 37%. So Jews aren't even supporting the Democrats at the high level of black men. So why are black men being targeted? Why are black men? Why isn't Doug Emhoff, Vice President Kamala Harris, melanin deficient husband, why he ain't going out to these Jewish communities and calling them self-hating Jews for not supporting his wife? Why isn't he out there calling them names? Because apparently some of them are MAGA too, meaning that they're going to vote for Donald Trump. All right. So it's pretty much nearly even support for Trump and Harris by Jews. But we won't hear any surrogates for Kamala Harris come out and attack these people for backing Donald Trump. Okay. It says that Jews could decide Pennsylvania's outcome with approximately 300,000 Jewish voters in Pennsylvania and tens of thousands in New York swing districts. The voting bloc was pivotal in determining outcomes of the presidential and congressional races. In Pennsylvania, where Biden had narrowly won by 80,000 votes in 2020, the Jewish vote could have been decisive. So here we go. Jews don't support And it doesn't say if they're Jewish men or women, but apparently they don't support Kamala Harris in large numbers, and some of them are supporting Donald Trump in large numbers. Now, let me get back to another article. Let's see. We got one here. I think I already showed y'all the national polls, but here's one that's surprising. Now, I knew like Michigan is going to be very important. You got a high concentration of Arab and Muslim American voters in areas like Detroit, and they carry a lot of weight in Michigan. Now, Al Jazeera reported. Let me pull this up. Said on October the 22nd, they reported Donald Trump is narrowly leading Kamala Harris among Arab Americans as the race for president of the United States enters the final stretch, a new poll suggests. The latest sign that the war in Gaza is costing Democrats support among voters with outsized influence in a key battleground state. Trump leads Harris 45% to 43% among the key demographic with 2 weeks to go until voters choose the next U.S. president. And this is according to the Arab News YouGov poll, which was released on Monday. So you think Barack Obama, Dougie Boy, AOC going to go to Michigan and attack these Arab voters for not supporting Vice President Kamala Harris, who is a key member of an administration engaged in violations of not just international law in being complicit in a genocide, but also in violating the U.S. federal laws on transferring weapons to such nations or groups engaged in such activity. It's called the Leahy laws. Okay, so you're gonna go criticize them because they don't want to support a woman who has given her full-throated support to Benjamin Netanyahu and the continued genocide. You're going to go criticize them for that. Now, if I got a question for them, it's going to be, well, Trump is going to be just as bad, if not worse. So, but I know a lot of them because I keep up with this stuff, are voting in Michigan for Jill Stein. Jill Stein is got a lot of support up there in Michigan, okay? And I imagine this is across the country. Genocide is on the ballot, despite Barack Obama claiming this is a clean ballot. Like Kamala Harris is the obvious choice between her and Donald Trump. There's nothing clean about this election. They both are dirty as you know what. Let me see. Now, I have been reading that Republicans have been turning out in high numbers. I was looking at some of the early voting data just for my county. I live in Gaston County, North Carolina. It's a completely red district, right? But when I'm looking at what the Board of Elections puts out, Republicans are crushing Democrats in terms of voter turnout in the early voting phase, which started last week here in North Carolina. Even the unaffiliated, which I'm an unaffiliated, we're turning out higher than Democrats are in this state, okay? And now I'm seeing national reports that's reflecting the same stuff in other states, that Republicans are setting records with their turnouts, okay? And it seems to me, especially in my county, because it's pretty much 1/3 Democrat, 1/3 Republican, 1/3 unaffiliated. So I think that's also how the state falls, and just not my county here in North Carolina, all right? And so that tells me something about Democrats, that they're not excited. Their base is not excited to turn out. The Harris campaign strategy has been failing miserably, and it looks like she's headed for a loss. She's going to take an L if these trends hold up. So, and I blame that on their campaign strategy. You coming out attacking black men as if we're the only demographic that's considering voting for Trump or not voting at all. I just read y'all the statistics. Jews is voting for Trump, about evenly split between Trump and Harris. Arabs, Trump's leading with Arab voters in Michigan. Okay, so they ain't gonna have nobody to blame. And see, this is what pissed me off about this rhetoric, is that you're trying to set it up that if she loses, oh, let's blame black men. Let's blame black men. I'm telling you, man, these people are racist. They the sneaky kind of racist. And it's just disgusting. It's very disgusting to me to see all of this going on. So Let me go ahead and open up the line for any guests that may want to come up. If there's any guest requests, y'all can come up and tell me who are you voting for? Who y'all rocking with this election, or are you staying home? Okay, let me know what's going on with you. Genocide is just a red line for me. I don't know about other people, but I just can't. We're living in a historic moment in time where our character is on trial. Our character as a nation is on trial. Okay, at a very critical moment in history. We are a year into this. Let me pull something up right quick. Give me just a second. Let me pull up something. I came across on Facebook. I came across this thing on Facebook where Kamala Harris was talking about. Let me see if I can show y'all that. Where Kamala Harris was talking about 1 year ago how hard they're working to bring about a ceasefire and how hard they're working to get humanitarian aid into Gaza. And here we are a year later, and she's still saying the same old, same old. And those people are in a full-blown famine right now. And it's been proven, it's been by two agencies of the State Department that they have been intentionally starving those people. And Anthony Blinken went to Congress and lied and said they didn't find that. Because, see, that was going to trigger an arms embargo and stop all the aid to Trump. So, again, to Israel. So, again, don't talk to me about Trump being corrupt when the other side is just corrupt. Don't talk to me about Trump being evil when the other side is just as evil. Okay? Stop it with your hypocrisy. You look dumb. You look like you ain't got a clue. Or you look like you're devoid of any kind of ethics or objectivity. I just don't see how anybody could get out here campaigning for either of these people or wanting to vote for either of them. It's just disgusting, man. It's just disgusting. And the United States is in a death spiral. It's in a death spiral. This country is going to undergo a major change because of the evil it's been doing all over the world. It's going to come back on us. And it's going to come back on us hard. Okay? And the good thing that I don't rely on the government or other people to meet my needs. I rely on the Creator, and He has never failed me. And I rely on my own skills to be able to feed my family. And the good thing I live in the country and not in the city. At least I can go hunting and fishing for some food and not be trapped in the city fighting people for, items on the grocery shelf or whatnot. But this country is headed for a great fall. And I know America, the people aren't prepared for it. They just not. So, I just want somebody to make a good case for either one of these people. I just got and I'm going to have to quit talking to this woman. We are friends, but she is solidly a Democrat. And I get tired of her making excuses for the Democrats. Like, for example, I just had to get off the phone before I blew up on this person, talking about Kamala Harris's black man plan. And I said, for yourself that she can't pass anything specifically for black men. It will violate the 1964 Civil Rights Act. So why she put that on there? And then also in the same document saying it's not just for black men. That's what "and others" means. So why did you put that out? And she want to come at me like, oh, that's a good question. Why don't you call her and ask her? Or why don't you email her and ask her? And listen, I ain't got time to waste with these fools. You think they're going to answer my question? And why do I need to ask questions about what's obvious? That this was a simple pandering move when this woman had just said during the 2020 primary, she wasn't doing nothing specifically for black people when she was asked about reparations. So why all of a sudden am I supposed to believe her explanation about anything? I don't need an explanation. I can read, and I have a very high comprehension of what I read. And it was just a simple pandering move. That's all it was. I don't want no loans, no 20,000. They might forgive these loans to start a small business. Just give me my family, and I'm talking about my entire black family, the descendants of victims of slavery here in America, not from anywhere else. Just give us our reparations. Okay? Just give us our reparations. That's the only thing you can legally pass. Why won't you pass reparations? You clearly ain't got a problem with sending billions and probably over the decades, trillions of dollars we done sent to Israel to fund their universal health care, okay, their social safety net, while ours is being destroyed. We got money to send, to all of these different groups. When we overthrow a country like Iraq, they were handing out monies on pallets and stuff, right? They got all this money, but they ain't never got money for us. They ain't never got money to repair what they did and what they still doing to black people in this country, particularly the American descendants of victims of slavery. So I'm tired of it. I don't want no piecemeal stuff. If you want to help black people, there are ways you can help black people. Raising the minimum wage will help black people to $15 an hour. Okay, maybe even $20 an hour. Will that help other people besides black people? Yes, it will. But I ain't got a problem with that. Okay? I'm not looking for butter biscuits just for myself. Just what you owe me. Okay? And you owe us reparations. Matter of fact, you haven't even abolished slavery. 13th Amendment does not abolish slavery. Again, people with low comprehension, low reading comprehension, or perhaps they never read the 13th Amendment, or maybe they never read their state constitutions to see all these legal loopholes that allow for the state to keep practicing slavery, for corporations today to exploit that prison slave labor. So we haven't even ended slavery. We just got slavery for all. That's what we got, but it's still primarily affecting black men the most, followed by black women. I'm not hearing Kamala Harris talk about none of that because she's a freaking cop. There's a reason she came in last in 2020. A good reason she came in last. And then all of a sudden, she got all this support. Y'all just supporting that woman just because that's who they put on the ticket. You didn't support her in 2020. Where was all these black women supporting Kamala in 2020? If I'm not mistaken, she might have been the only black woman that ran for president in 2020. I don't think Nina Turner ever ran for president, but I can't think, and the only other woman of color that ran was Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii. Those were only two people of color in the race. But where did all the support go? Who was some of these black Congress people throwing their support behind, like James Clyburn? Okay. Who did they throw their support behind? It wasn't Kamala. It was Jim Crow Joe Biden. That's who. Again, how bad do you have to be for Joe Biden to beat you? For Joe Biden to get more black support? And I couldn't understand that either. It's like y'all people got short memories. And maybe, most of you're in your 30s, maybe early 40s. Y'all don't remember none of this stuff because y'all wasn't around or y'all were just children when these people were doing all this. The Democrats and Republicans teaming up on black people and other people of color. And then just cause they racially showcase and promote some black people, you think that that's supposed to be all of a sudden, oh, that's good for us, that's doing something for us. They don't do shit for me. I don't need to see a black face in a high place for me to have high self-esteem about myself. I don't need to see a black man be this or a black woman be that to help my self-esteem. I don't need to see it. I don't vote based on skin color. I vote based on policy. And I vote based on integrity and character. And that's something neither Donald Trump or Kamala Harris has. So let me pull this up. Again, if you want to come up and dispute anything I have to say or accuse me of lying, like some people accuse me of lying, I'm like, I'm comfortable saying what I say because I've done the work. I've done the research and I can provide those sources. Okay, I can provide them. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And I've yet to have anyone give me a legitimate argument on why I should support either of those war criminals, because Donald Trump's a war criminal too. Okay. Well, I'm not one to just ramble on. I've said what I've had to say, and I appreciate the support I do get on these various platforms. And if you would like to support independent black media, you can go to blacktalkradionetwork.com, hit the donate button, and it goes directly to the North Carolina nonprofit Black Talk Media Project. With that said, I'm out. Peace and blessings to all.